Let's talk about training. Let's look at the giants, the McDonald's, the KFCs, all the big guys. How big brands are investing into training?
They invest more, actually put the monies down and say, hey, this is not a cost, this is an investment. And I'm going to get a return on my investment.
What is the biggest thing you learned training people across different countries?
Training never ends. People think that, training means just teach the person how to flip the pancake, flip the egg, slap a burger together. No, training is a forever ongoing thing that never stops.
I see many L&D professionals actually, jumping from one style to another, yes. Never really mastering one of those.
Yes.
Would you advise against it? Why did you stay in QSR? With your experience...
I'm going to be honest with you.
You talked about soft skills. Do soft skills matter in QSR?
Oh my goodness.
What do you wish more restaurant managers would understand about their role in staff development? Hello everyone and welcome to a new podcast episode of Pocket Talk. Today's guest is Tonyell Somerville, a true force in QSR training and development. She has spent over 20 years in the restaurant industry, starting at 16 and rising through the ranks with brands like IHOP, Applebee's, and now Cravia Inc. in the UAE. As a head of L&D at Cravia, she drives training for names like Zeit, Cinnabon, Seattle Coffee, known for her hands-on approach and belief in building people over PowerPoints. She's all about real-world learning that sticks. She's respected across the industry, not just for what she does, but how she does it, with heart, humility, and a true servant leader mindset. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Not more excited than me. Tony, I want to ask you about being a servant leader. This expression really, interests me. What do you mean by being a servant leader?
Okay, well, to me, a servant leader is someone that goes beyond the title of leadership. They're all about the people. And I pride myself in the decades of being in this industry and being a leader to, I serve the people. And what I mean by the people are my team members. No matter what brand I'm working for, under what restaurant I'm working for, the team members come first, people first. And I feel like all leaders in the restaurant industry and other industries, if they put themselves as, how can I serve my team members, my restaurant managers, then success will be much better. Because at the end of the day, when you look at the whole picture, our frontline people are the ones that are the most important to the business. If they don't produce,
100%.
If we don't set them up for success, then the whole company fails. And so being a servant leader to the team members, being there for them, serving them, and giving them all the support that they need to be successful.
100%. It's very funny because I have not heard this expression a lot, which is a shame, yeah. I think, because a lot of leaders should be, I think, a bit more humble and not just, ride on a title and be so proud of what they achieve, but, realize exactly what you said, that, every business is built on people. One of my corporate team member used to say he was a chef. He was a chef patron of the company. And, one of his main pitch, especially when we were doing new openings and when the team was feeling down a bit, he was always advising the management team that you should ask others, what can you do for them without expecting anything back? And this is how you build relationship. You ask your staff members, can I help you somehow? Instead of just, how are you? The usual stuff, in the morning, how are you? You don't even mean it. You're just passing by. You don't even wait for an answer. And he was always saying that, ask people what can you do for them, and don't expect anything back, and you will see your relationship and how people will go the extra mile. So I guess, this is exactly what you meant by.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. It's about, as you said, being sincere. And if your team members or the people that you have the privilege to lead, if they see that you're sincere and you come from a place of loyalty and trustworthy to them, then they're going to bend over backwards to execute the job for you.
You work for some really, really big brands, obviously, Apple, Applebee's, IHOP, now Cravia Inc. What is the biggest thing you learned training people across different countries, different type of businesses in a way?
Wow. Well, actually, coming from the U.S. and now I've been here in the UAE for 4 years. Absolutely love it. And there is a huge difference. There's a difference in the industry when it comes to just the culture and people management. So when it comes to learning and development, it's pretty much the same in that aspect. The team members, I would say here, are a lot more receptive to learning without any pushback.
This makes your job easier.
Yeah, it makes my job easier. I have noticed that, when I compare my career in the States, in the restaurant industry versus here, the team members here are more at ease. They're more eager to execute and follow the standards and deliver excellent service. Not to say that the Americans don't do that, team members don't do that, but they have more of a, I guess I can say the word servant, subservient type of mentality, where they go above and beyond to execute the job without any complaints.
It's funny enough, we were just talking about this with my friend the other day, how different service in the States compared to here. I think in the States, I always enjoy to dine out, because I think, servers are, people are staying in the same position for many years. They actually, put the tips, in the pockets, and that obviously is a different system compared to here, for example.
100%.
Right. But how do you see? Is it shifting? I think in the States, be a server, working in restaurants, it's considered as a career, or it used to be at least. Not so much here. Do you see this shift, or is it happening in the States as well, you think?
I can say that the title and the pay currently in the States, you would look at it and say, no, that's not a career move. But coming from being a server, and that's how I first started my career at 16 years old, I walked into an IHOP and said, I need to wait tables to make money. And literally I was making more money than some of the managers.
Right.
So Americans, we are known for tipping, and they tip very well. That's just the industry. So although here the servers on the floor are salary-based, monthly salary-based.
Right.
And the guests have the opportunity to tip, but I don't think the culture is really set on tipping cash at the table or on the card. So to answer your question, you can actually make a career in the States out of waiting tables. I know some people that have waited tables up into 15, 20 years because that cash money is so good, and they're literally
100%.
They're literally bringing $400 or $500 home a day, and if you figure that out by 5-6 days a week, 100%. Not including a little bit extra on holidays, and if you want to work a double, then you double that, so you can really make some really serious money as a server.
100%. And what I always appreciated, in the States, that sometimes I was really surprised when I went to New York the first time. I obviously went to some really good restaurant, 11 Madison Park, and I went to some good restaurants. My waitress was like 60 plus, and coming from Dubai, this is something really, you would never see that
because you
here.
don't see it, and you just, not to interrupt you, but you just made me realize the 4 years I've been here, I really haven't seen anyone of older age on the floor waiting tables. You're absolutely right.
You know, when I came to Dubai 15 years ago, I started as a waiter as well.
Oh, great.
I was 20, 29. I was by far the oldest person in the restaurant, including the management teams. I think only my general manager was older than me by 2 years.
Yeah.
He was 31, you know, and I was like...
And that's considered old, I guess, when you're surrounded by 20-year-olds.
But I think that makes things easier when it comes to training. I think people at early ages are more receptive. They're more willing to learn. Do you think?
Well, as a well-experienced learning and development specialist, I would have to disagree with you.
Really?
Yeah. You would think that, okay, the younger I am, the more receptive I am to learning. But, you know, as you know, learning styles, there's different learning styles.
Right.
So you can be of any age and still learn. You're never too old to
100%.
learn. And so it's all on the individual and who's delivering the information and how it's delivered.
I totally agree with you. I think you cannot just say that, you know, young people are like this. I hear this a lot, by the way. I hate it.
I'm sure you do.
I hate it. You know, I picture a lot of restaurants, and then, you know, sometimes basically people are throwing, you know, their reality to me. And I understand this is the reality of many restaurant managers, that these young people, they don't care about anything. They don't want to learn. I don't think that's true. I think, you know, what I always say, that's, you know, you should somehow look into how you deliver trainings as well, because you cannot expect a new age workforce to be trained how you were trained or how I was trained. I mean, I remember you tell me how you were trained. Back then when I started, there was no training manual and, you know, quizzes, and no, they drop you on the floor. They said, okay, you, my friend, spend time in the kitchen. You don't come out until you know everything. Exactly. If you want to know something, you ask a chef.
Yeah.
Chef was not the nicest person, but you had to go and find out and learn the food and, you know, learn English very often, of course, as well. But you cannot expect the new age workforce to learn the same way, because they grew up differently, they consume information differently. So, you know, instead of the blame game, or instead of saying the young people are like this, the millennials are like that, I don't think you can do that. Just as you cannot say, you know, one nation is like this or one nation. It's not nation dependent. It's not age dependent. It is, you know, individual dependent. Do they want to grow? What they want to do in this industry?
Right.
How far you are willing to go with your training and with your approach, you know, to switch. So I think that's yeah, definitely a two-sided conversation. Let me ask you this: why did you stay in QSR? With your experience, you could go literally anywhere. I mean, how many restaurants have you opened?
Oh my goodness! In my career, over 30.
Over 30.
Yes.
You obviously had opportunities to shift into fine dining, casual, whatever it is.
Definitely.
Why did you stay in QSR? What makes you stick to this style?
I'm going to be honest with you. I was absolutely obsessed with the IHOP brand. That brand, just the casual family dining setting, is just always something that I had a passion for, that I loved. And as you said, yeah, I've had opportunities to switch over to some fine dining opportunities that have came across my way, but I'm just so set. I'm set in my ways. I'm old enough to say that I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to stay where I'm happy. And I believe in this: if it's not broke, don't fix it. So quick service restaurants has always been the thing for me. I did have an opportunity to switch over to drive-in service, like fast food, but that's not my cup of tea either. I like the full service restaurants because I can connect better. You know, people, you're connecting with the guests. You have time to be able to interact and get to know them when you're walking the floor. Those are things that you can't really do in fast food. And then for fine dining, you know, it's you can connect with the guests, but the type of guests that would go into a fine dining restaurant really probably don't want to spend too much time having a general conversation with you. So.
100%. I think this is something that people don't necessarily understand from the outside, that people just think that, okay, you are a waiter here, you can be a waiter anywhere else. You are a whatever here, you can be working in any style. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
I think, even if you just look at, clubbing, being a waiter in a club or being a waiter in a fine dining restaurant or in a fast food serving restaurant is a completely different ball game. The guests are different, the expectations are different, everything from A to Z. And I really appreciate when somebody sticking to, what they know, because I think you really can master, a skill set or a style of service if you spend some time in it. This is something you can't make a shortcut. I see many L&D professionals actually, jumping from one style to another, never really mastering one of those.
Yes.
Would you advise against it?
Excellent question, because I have been asked before when people look at my CV, they say, oh, I see that you stayed at this one brand for over 20 years. Wow. I guess it depends on the individual. I am noticing that a lot of people get hired even if they have jumped all over the place.
That's correct.
So maybe in the past, back in the day from my era growing up, maybe it showed a sign of stability and a good thing for you to not move. But this day and age, in this era that we're in now, they kind of expect you to move around after 2 or 3 years and jump to this different style, this company. So it just depends on the person. I wouldn't want to say to tell someone to not do it, but for me personally, as you said before, I feel like I had the opportunity to master my art and my passion by staying put in one specific style.
You said something very interesting, and I think this is a really good question. I think 100% agree with you on that people are now expected to change every 2-3 years.
Yeah.
It is actually recommended. If you Google, if you want to develop in your career, how often you should change. Now, I don't think if I'm a restaurant manager today or a general manager and I'm looking at a CV of a guy who worked in 5 really good places in the past 10 years, what would that tell me? Okay, 5 really good places, but he's jumping every 2 years. Why is he jumping every 2 years? And he's doing the same position. Or he improved from, I don't know, senior waiter or waiter to head waiter or to supervisor. That's not a big step in 10 years. So, you can ask yourself a question, why, this person changing after every 2 years? Yeah. While it is absolutely true that some people would consider as a disadvantage looking at the CV saying that, okay, this guy worked here 10 years. Okay, he made quite a few steps, upwards in the career ladder. But why staying for 10 years? I think loyalty to a company is something that's, most companies are having scheme on how to reward people staying long. I think this is something you should appreciate. But I don't think it is appreciated enough these days.
When you said that, you just hit a nerve because I am so on board with what you said, because I have said that so many times. And even if you looked on LinkedIn and you see all of these different little animated posts about loyalty, being a loyal employee versus someone that just walked into the door. And you're right, loyalty used to mean something. I'm not sure what it means anymore in this day and age, but it used to mean something. It still means a lot to me. But some companies, I don't think they look at that anymore, which is unfortunate.
Very true. I think a lot of companies preaching about company loyalty and what we do for the employees, and it is really meaning only Pizza Fridays and small things that people actually hate. Companies think this is a reward and then this is how they're gonna make employees stick, but in reality, I think it's not really working. All these rewarding platforms. Yes. I see many of my clients, like a couple of years ago, it was a big thing, like to sign up for these rewarding platforms where employees can collect points and they can spend it, and then nobody does. Yeah. Nobody need those kind of small things. Give them a proper bonus, give them a proper, appraisal, give them a proper platform where they can, issue their concern or where they can talk about it.
Or just some old-fashioned appreciation, saying thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate you for working extra hours. I appreciate you for coming to work every day.
A real one. How is the QSR landscape has challenged you here? You said you are here for 4 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, you spent the majority of your career in the US.
Of course.
How is the QSR landscape different here for you?
You know, great question. I would have to say that there's not much difference in the SOPs, the standard operational procedures, how the system is. There's not much difference there. Some little rules or whatnots, give or take. But the biggest difference I see are the people, the people's behavior, and what's important to them. But that's the only difference I see, and that just comes from cultural differences. But
Right.
the complete layout, the responsibility and the obligation that the restaurant industry has to make sure that they're making sales and that we're taking care of the guest and making them happy so they can return and profits, all of that is the same no matter what part of the world you come from.
What made you to move here? I think it is not a typical move. I would think that people would rather move from here to the US rather than the other way around. What made you make this move?
You know, it's funny because that question gets asked to me a lot, and I guess it's when you don't come from the States and you've been on one side of the world all your life. It's my dream to live in America is what I hear a lot.
Did we make this picture wrong?
No, America is a beautiful place. Let me just make that clear. I'm an American, and America is a beautiful place to live, and I love being American. But also, what I love is to experience change. In all of my life, I was born and raised in America. I'm an American. My generations are American, and I've never been outside the States. So when this opportunity arose to come and grow more restaurants here in the Middle East, I didn't hesitate to say, yes, heck yes, I'll go. And not a lot of Americans get that opportunity to up and pack themselves and move to another country and be able to grow and develop in a company. So it's a blessing, and it's a beautiful thing for me.
Let's talk about training. Some people, I think falsely, thinks that QSR is not a type of restaurant that needs a lot of training. So let's look at the giants. The McDonald's, the Popeyes, the KFCs, all the big guys. What you've seen, how big brands are investing into training from QSR point of view?
It's hard for me to speak on that because I've never been in the brands that you've named. I've never been behind the scenes with them, but I definitely am. I'm a huge fan of all of those brands you just called. I have eaten there many, many years, all of my life. But I think that the ones that you call like the fast food industry, I think they're a little bit more on the up and up with their training. They invest more, and the key word is invest.
That's what I heard.
They actually put the monies down and say, "Hey, this is not a cost. This is an investment, and I'm going to get a return on my investment." So I think they look at things like that with their e-learning platforms, with phone apps to help their team members engage better. They kind of go all out to me versus the full service restaurants. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some full service restaurants that do partake in investing in the team members, but when it comes to that, I see it more in the fast food.
So let me ask you then this question actually slightly friendly, because I have some insight. I know for the fact that these guys are investing crazy into training.
So that makes me not look like I'm making up something. You're about to prove it.
100% no, but let me ask you this. Obviously, I wanted to ask you about IHOP and Applebee's.
Sure.
These guys are investing in training. You've been doing this for many years, right?
Yes.
So, I just want you to, move the curtain away from this misbelief that QSR doesn't need training, it's simple. One guy is standing behind the counter, the other one is frying chicken, it's so simple, it doesn't need any training. It's not like this.
No, absolutely
am
not.
I right?
You have your general position training where you have to learn whatever position that you are hired to do.
Right.
But also the bigger things that I think that we're missing and that we are doing that people don't realize is soft skills training for the leaders. Soft skills is something that people are not born with. So you have a lot of leaders that can use how to have tact, how to have empathy, how to have all of these different skills that is important when you are team building and when you are leading a team. So we do soft skills. We do just internal development if you want to grow from one position to another, coming from a team member status into a leadership role. That takes training and different skill sets for that. So, yeah, there's definitely training has to happen. And another thing that I like to always say is training never ends. And a lot of times people think that, training means just teach the person how to flip the pancake, flip the egg, slap a burger together, okay, and then done. They're finished. No, training is a forever ongoing thing that never stops.
Even in QSR, and that was my follow-up question. I think this is a bit contradictory. That people think that training is less necessary in QSR, or you need to do less training in QSR, which could not be more wrong. We started to work with a couple of brands recently, and to my biggest surprise, first of all, these QSR brands had more training content and more training activities than some of those that are in DIFC and really high-end and serving alcohol. What would you say to this? Do you think training is equally needed in all style of restaurant service?
100%. It no matter if you're fast food or just casual dining or fine dining, the training needs to be there. You have to continue to develop and coach your teams and the leaders so they can be better and better at their job. You have things such as diversity and inclusion that needs to be taught to leaders. How to
deal with complaints,
how to handle guest complaints, how to handle different cultural behaviors, and how to communicate. Oh my God, communication in the workplace, in the restaurant industry is a huge, huge area of opportunity. And what I mean by that is just general communication between the leaders and the employees on the floor. It's so many layers.
100%. And I think this is what the top brands really master, communication. When you go to McDonald's, IHOP, Costa Coffee, you will never find a guy in a counter who cannot speak properly, who it's always very well versed what they say. There is a meaning behind. They can speak, they can answer.
Yes.
So definitely there is an investment there. You get a reputation as a very hands-on leader, right?
Thank you.
You are not behind PowerPoint slides and in the office. How is your day-to-day look like? What you do usually during the day? Do you have certain days when you do this or that, or your days is just like an organized chaos? You're trying to do everything.
Do we have enough time on this podcast? Yeah, I'm a little bit everywhere, and I thank you for that. I wear that as a badge of honor. When someone says, you're really hands-on, I believe in that, and it's a therapy for me as well. In my career, yes, I have gotten to a point where I'm not so much needed in the restaurant, and it's funny because in the past years, as I continue to grow into this executive role, I have been known to say, Tony, get out the restaurants, because I come from an operational background as well, not just training.
That's the best.
So it never leaves, and I always want to get involved in the operations, and so I have to say, okay, let me step aside. But yeah, to answer your question, it's pretty much, I try to schedule myself to maybe do 70-30. 70%, I am in the office because I have to be. I'm doing projects. I'm working on training material. I'm doing calls. I'm creating new ways to help teach and develop. I'm a workshop facilitator, so I'm always creating new content for new workshops, new ideas that's going to help our leaders and our team members. And then 30%, I like to set myself out in the field, meaning visiting the stores, showing my face, checking in, having that one-on-one with the team members and the leaders. They need to see my face. I don't want to be a leader that only shows up on a Zoom call or a Teams call or through emails. I like to I like to let the team members and the leaders know that, hey, I've been in your shoes before. I've been a server. I've been a cook. I've bussed tables. I've washed dishes. I've been an assistant manager.
You haven't Googled how to do this job.
Right. I didn't Google or just read a book. I actually walked in your shoes for many, many years.
That's extremely important. Back then I was in the same situation. I was coming from operation, transiting into training.
Yeah.
But I see many people transiting into training because they do not want to be in operation, or they don't like to do that part, or, and once they transit, they never really go back.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a training manager. But you tell me if I'm wrong, because I think you can only train employees if your audience actually respects you. You have credits in front of in their eyes. If you don't have if you don't have credits as somebody who can do, not just show, then people just, okay, whatever. I'm going to sit here for an hour because I have to. But what do you know about my job? And funny thing, I used to open restaurants globally, and then sometimes I didn't know people, or sometimes I went to a new site, but actually I haven't been for the opening. There was only one site, and the people looked at me like, who this guy is? And it was so hard, to build up, whether in locations where you actually, people know you that I actually come from this position.
Yeah.
I used to do this position. I've been a waiter. I've been a chef. I've been a bartender. When people know, this is always much easier. But I think being hands-on is extremely important, and show your face and, spend some time with people, because you can design really decent trainings, but that's not everything.
Yeah.
Now, you said something interesting. I want to get into this. Many people think a training manager, an L&D manager, is basically a person that can deliver the whole deal. So what is a training manager for me, or an L&D manager? It doesn't matter the level. You have to think, you have to create,
yes,
and you have to execute.
Yes.
What I mean by that. So when you start to work in a company and say, okay, you are an L&D manager, you are a training manager, you have to be able to rectify what department, what position need, what training. That's a serious skill set. You have to be able to design a training program company-wise, considering all positions. Then you have to create quality training materials, and eventually you have to execute this training. So it's not just, okay, I'm a training manager and I am now going to execute trainings, right? I have to think strategically. I have to create quality training materials.
And analyze.
I have to execute. Yeah.
Yep.
Is it a one-person job, in your opinion?
No, it isn't. In the somewhere over the rainbow world, you would want your learning and development department to be more than just one person. And then especially if you're dealing with multiple brands, it'll be nice to have maybe a representative of each brand, and you just work together to go out there and execute. So the plan would originally start, on grant. The plan is created once you assess and analyze the needs of each brand, and then you sit down and devise a plan with your teams, your brand leaders, and then just take it from there and get out and execute and put everything together. So yeah, it takes a team in anything.
Why people think that a training manager should be good at, for example, video editing, or creating a quality PowerPoint slide, or good-looking training materials? Do you think it is a skill set that is required today to be a training manager?
Yes, today.
Today, yes.
But in the past, not necessarily.
Correct.
But yes, today, because a learning and development manager or a training manager is like a teacher. Your coach,
Right.
your teacher, your facilitator. You're going to be doing group sessions, individual sessions. So it's ideal and of benefit to be able to do the basic Microsoft applications so you can present material. And if you have the skill set to create content and e-learning, downloadable content that can go into some type of portal that can be viewed by your team members, then that's a plus as well.
Right. I mean, this is, I think this is a misconception. People today expect learning and development managers to do the whole deal. Even back then when I was one, it took me, my first year as an L&D manager, I almost got fired. People told me that you're not doing any training. I was barely doing any training. I was doing like one training a week. But I told them that, guys, we don't have any training materials. It's one thing to go and present. And, I was really good at presenting. And I mean, I turned out I wasn't actually that good. It also took me another couple of years to learn actually how to present and how to engage people, not just talk. Anybody can talk for an hour.
Yes.
I could really, talk. But I very often realized that people are not really absorbing the information. So I had to learn the style.
Yeah.
But what I realized in the first year when I was about just to create quality training content handouts. So, here's a training and then here's a handout, take it with you, that I'm really rubbish in designing. I was not good at, PowerPoints and let alone, more quality like video content. So, I had to get people involved. And, today, actually, what I see from most of my big clients that they hire one person and they expect this person to shoot content, video content, edit video content, create PDFs and training manuals and create quizzes, and then also have to be a good presenter, but not just in F&B topics, but soft skills and everything, all that, How far is this from a realistic expectation to find this person? Do you think companies should actually hire a dedicated video editor and a couple of graphic designers perhaps to at least invest in the beginning, to get an L&D manager go?
Absolutely. Having the tools and the additional help to create that is a plus. Not one single person should be expected to handle all of that, because you're getting into some technical expert stuff that a lot of people go to school for, spend many years to create, and if you want it done right, if you want it done properly, I think the bigger companies or the companies that appreciate investing into their team members sees no problem in this. But to be fair, I think all companies and all restaurants, because I can only speak on restaurants, they want that. They want the person that has to make the decisions. They want that for the people, but it just comes down to sometimes just cost or timing or just seeing investing in tools or putting money into tools is more of a loss at the bottom line versus an investment that they will see later on.
Don't even get me started in this conversation. I mean, that's my day to day, when I'm sitting there with a finance manager on my last meeting and he's asking me, what is this? Why do you have to pay for this? You don't have to, but if you want to maximize your revenue opportunities and you should. Another
thing I like to always say when I'm laying down my side of the story, people before profit. People first will automatically bring profit. And if you invest in the people, that means it's going to be some upfront cost, but that cost that you put into that, you're going to see it in the end and beyond. The people are the ones that are creating the business to flow and work and to make sales. And if you don't take that money and put it back into them, at some point you're going to see not so good results from that.
Couldn't agree more. And I think if you just look at all the companies, all the restaurant brands, or even hotel brands, you will always see this mindset with the big guys. You will always find this mindset. One of my favorite examples to use when I'm trying to convince somebody to invest into people is to look at hotels. You will not find a single hotel that has no L&D department, or they usually have an allocated budget to people's development, which comes around 7 to 10% of their basic salary. So they say, we hire this guy and we expect him not to know everything. We will continuously invest in this person's development because this is going to eventually generate us more revenue. The big guys know how to generate revenue. So the last thing they would do is spend money on something they don't need, right? You know what I mean? The hotels are, they're really squeezing everything out of purchasing and everything. Yet, they always invest in learning and development. There is no such a thing as no training manager in a hotel. There's no such a thing.
Yes, it has to be there,
Exactly. Now, you're obviously looking after different brands, Cinnabon, Cielo Coffee, Zaatar Zeit is a big local hero here in the UAE. How do you make sure consistency across different brands, different locations? You guys have so many locations.
Yes.
How can you achieve consistency across so many locations and different brands?
Well, it goes back to being able to assess, and every need is different. So it takes going out there and getting to know the people and the needs. And that's pretty much my style. I'm not saying that everyone does what I do in my role, but I like to take my time and assess where the problems are, if there are any. As you said, we have different brands. So every brand will require a specific way to support in L&D. One brand may be doing everything well and numbers are great and customer service and Google reviews are top notch and they're making sales and they're green arrows in sales. So you don't, once again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You just be there for support. But then you have other brands that might be struggling and have a lot of guest complaints and team member turnover and different things like that. So it's just about assessing each brand and making sure that, which number one, everybody is following the brand standards, because that's number one. And then making sure that the team members are happy. So with those two together, that's pretty much how I handle the consistency. And and I'm all about feedback too. I like to go out, visit the stores, get feedback, engage with the frontline people, because you can't fix things if you don't know what the problems are.
Right.
So, yeah.
But I would think that your SOPs are very clearly communicated and each store have their own brand standards very 100%. Clearly communicated.
Yes. You have to be. Brands have their specifics that you have to follow. Is there wiggle room for someone like me in learning and development to say, oh, yeah, let's change this? All brands are open to listen to your feedback or say, hey, maybe this allergen policy that we have, can we try it this way? So they're all open for listening, but most of the time the standard is the standard and there's no change there.
100%.
So you just follow it and you just make sure that the teams and the leaders are following it.
100%. I think this is a pro tip that, for me, it was a game changer back then. So I got a task of, training a multinationally expanding company. We had just, I think, like 3 or 4 outlets back then, and we expanded into like 10 very, very quick. And, until you don't have something down on paper or digital, doesn't matter. But, you have to start from somewhere. You cannot go to a place and start to, pitch them, we should do it like this because the other store have it like that. No, it has to be black and white that this is how we're doing things. And once it actually is written down, from that point, it's very hard to argue it. Back then, I used to get this excuse that, but this is not like in London or in Dubai, because here we're doing things like this. And I always used to say, as long as the same brand name written on the door, we will have to do things one way. I understand there can be small differences between countries, when it comes to compliance, okay, or
supply
small
chain,
exactly.
Food, yeah.
How the table is set up, or where the salt and pepper, or basic things, it should be, when people are coming into a restaurant, they should feel, oh wow, this is like exact same as in London or in the States, small things. But for me, the big game changer was when we actually started to invest into training materials. And then we distributed this. So every location had the exact same training materials. And then suddenly, okay, this is what we follow. Because those people that argue that, I used to be like this or that, sooner or later, those people will go anyway.
Yes.
And what you want is the new people who coming through your door, having a day one induction, you give them the training materials or SOPs, and you tell them, look, this is how we do things here.
Yep.
And slowly, actually, everybody picking up and start to follow the same trends.
Absolutely.
I think I told you I drop my controller once in every podcast. that was it. So that was it. I don't know why is it happening, but it's happening for sure. Now it's like a proper tradition. Right. You talked about soft skills.
Yes.
This caught my ears. Do soft skills matter in QSR?
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. It matters everywhere. Soft skills matter at home with your husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, cat, dog.
You couldn't have said that better. Why people think soft skills matter less in QSR?
For one, I think from my experience, it's because they don't even know about soft skills. And I want to say on this side of the world, it's not commonly added into the agenda of when they're hired.
Right.
So it's not about them not feeling like it's important. It's just if you don't make it important, if you don't make it a priority to say, okay, look, along with this new leadership role that you are going to take on, or what we call MIT, manager in training, a part of your agenda is to learn soft skills. Well, what are soft skills? Okay, this is what they are. And this is mandatory because it's a part of you being a successful leader. So if we bring soft skills more to the forefront in the platform and make it mandatory instead of just something you can add on or optional, then it can become important, more important than it has been.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, product knowledge is important, but I think soft skills are even more important. Nobody wants to hear the list of ingredients in your food. How do you present those? You don't have to present all the ingredients in a food, unless we're talking about allergy, of course.
Yeah.
But, how you present it, how you make a mental picture of the guest in the guest's mind, how is the food taste, beverage taste. What are your top 3 recommendations for soft skills training?
Oh, good one. Communication, number 1. Empathy.
Okay. Having
empathy. And adaptability.
The different scenarios?
And I've taught soft skills workshops virtually and actually in class. And these 3 that I just named are super important. There's so many soft skills, and you know this. There's a list of them. And then you have some sites that show you the top 10, the top 5, top 7. But for me, great communication, adaptability, and empathy are super important. 1, empathy, because if you can't feel what your team members feel, bussing those tables as a leader, waiting on the tables, in that kitchen, 8 hours, sweating over a hot oven or a hot flat grill, pushing the food out with the grill tickets hanging down to here, or the KDS screens. If you can't feel that empathy, that's a scary thing for a leader, because you want to be able to empathize with your team members and know and feel what they're doing every day. It makes you a better leader. For communication, I shouldn't have to speak too much on that. Any leader in any industry, if you don't have great communication skills, you're going to fail. Communication in anything that you do, once again, even in your personal life and in your relationship, if you don't have great communication skills, you're not going to be successful. And when it comes to adaptability, we have to adapt. the hospitality industry and the restaurant industry.
These are so hard. It's like one word: adaptability and empathy. But if you actually look into this, these are the hardest things to ask. Or not just to ask from somebody, but to teach them. Because these are actually teachable. You can learn these.
Yes, you can learn these.
But probably not in a 20-minute session.
No, it takes time. Once again, soft skills are slept on. They're slept on in all parts of the world. In this industry that we work in and that we're from, it's so heavily needed, and it needs to be included as a mandatory thing.
100%. What do most QSR get wrong about training today?
That it is a one-time event. And then you just say, okay, you're trained. There you go. You're good to go for the next 5 years.
Let's throw some money at it, or let's assign a guy. Let's assign a head waiter to it.
Yeah.
Guys, we had a problem with this table yesterday. Let's do a training about it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's fixed.
That's it. One-time event. We don't have to visit it anymore. We don't have to follow up on it. We don't have to do a part 2, part 3 to ensure the consistency is there. Repetitive. Yep.
Back then, this is still from my training manager years, I wrote a training program for the entire company.
Wow.
We're talking about 10 to 13 training per department. And my approach was, you don't have to come for training, but we will repeat every topic 4 times a year. So basically, we were just doing a weekly training session about different topics, and we repeated it 4 times a year, and we were recording who's coming. So, that was obviously a good data to see how many trainings people are coming. So we were just repeating the same topics over and over again. So after 2 years, every topic was, repeated 8 times. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly the training attendance started to drop, and the people were telling me, Janos, it's the same training. Come on, we're working here for years. We know all this. And I was against it, but I was traveling the world opening new restaurants, and I led the site management to decide on that. I said, guys, I really do think we should keep repeating this training, because we're talking about once every quarter.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same topic. And they said, no, we don't need to do that. Our stuff is stable. People are not moving. I said, okay, but let me tell you that once I'm back to Dubai, I'm going to do a test about people's knowledge. And they were like, yeah, okay, we do whatever. So I got back. We did a full test. We talked about 120 employees, one site. Okay. And we did a general evaluation. The results dropped significantly. People that used to score 98%, 96% on a 100-question test, they were scoring 40, 50%. These are people working in a company for 5-6 years. So, I just put it in front of the general manager. Look, these are your people working here for 4 years. They don't know the food. They don't know the basics. So I think a lot of people underestimate repetition of the same training topics. Do you repeat actually the same training topics, or you try to come up with new topics very often?
There's some topics that you just can't touch, and that it requires repetitiveness. Correct. Especially when you're dealing with guest service and brand standards. But then you want to splash a little change up in how you deliver it, and add in some additional things. Yeah. I want to also add that, training is a cultural thing, and it's a company culture. So the companies have to make that a part of their company style or lifestyle. It's a cultural move. And it's all about if the company's willing to incorporate that in. Yeah.
What do you wish more restaurant managers would understand about their role in staff development?
Ooh. Back to that communication word. I think, but I know, because I see it too often in the States and here. Throughout my career, I've watched good leaders who mean well, but their communication just sucks. Can I use that word on here?
Yeah, why not?
And it's not because they're intentionally trying to, be a negative Nancy or, have this negative energy to the team members, but no one's ever taught them. They just don't know. They need to be taught. So communication is what the restaurant leaders are lacking, and they don't understand that is a huge part of the success of their job and their role. You can get anything done with great communication. And I'm going to add a second part to that, just from my experience of watching leaders over the years and decades. Being organized. You have to be a well-organized manager, leader, meaning organizing your day, time management, which is another soft skill that is hugely lacking.
Right. You help people grow across different brands, different countries. What is your approach when somebody they just don't believe yet that they can go to the next level?
I have been known, and I'm not putting this on myself, but people tell me all the time that I am an inspiration to them. And I think that the reason why they see me as an inspirational leader, or they leave comments or little notes or postings about that, is because when I see or feel anyone within my arm's reach that even for the slightest second would think that about themselves, I am quick to act on that, because it's my duty and my obligation as a leader to reassure a person that everything is going to be okay, and that they can do and be anything that they want to be, and that if they apply themselves to whatever goals, whether it be in this restaurant or in the future, they can attain any goal, and to never give up on whatever they believe in.
100%. I think very often people just need a little bit of push on their confidence
and love
before you would start to actually train them to the next position. Yeah. We just reassure them, but listen, you got it.
A little love and attention. That's what we all need.
You contribute a lot to the industry, not just an L&D leader. You are openly sharing information, public speaking. You're sharing basically in different channels with training management. How to do the job properly. You're helping with a lot of SOPs. A lot of companies I heard. Why do that?
Why do I give back? Because I feel like I have to. I can remember in my younger years admiring a couple of people that carried the role that I carry now. And if they didn't feed back or give back to me, I probably would not be sitting where I am right now. So I always believe that it's a leader's responsibility in whatever industry you're in to always give back your knowledge in any platform, in any way that you possibly can.
There are no more secrets. I never understood this. I think what we do, it's, a lot of information publicly known. How you present it, and, that's another case altogether. Mm-hmm. But I see a lot of people really, holding back, sharing their accumulated knowledge for absolutely no reason. I don't know what's the reason.
I know why. Because you have some people that are afraid.
Afraid of what?
They're insecure. They're afraid that if they give out their knowledge, someone else can come along and take that and do something more with that knowledge and possibly replace them or take the spotlight from them. But it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't be that way, because I think when these people are not aware that they're also being watched by somebody, you always have somebody above you, right?
Yes, of course.
And you can only progress to the next level when there is somebody to replace you. Nobody going to fire you because somebody knows your job as well as you. Mm-hmm. People will think, wow, this guy have developed a waiter to be a manager. So you know what? Let's promote this guy to be a manager, and now you can step up to your next position, which is whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And this should be always the right idea. But I 100% agree with you on this one. I think many people are insecure and afraid of being replaced. You should be replaced. Otherwise, how are you going to go to the next position?
A real leader is going to make another leader.
100%. Do you have any advice for somebody who kind of stuck in L&D, same position, too long? What they should do to go to the next level?
What is the next level after L&D? I think I shot a question behind a question, but I'm just saying that out loud, and I've never thought of that.
I think there is always a next level in L&D. I mean, if you just think about it, between a training manager and L&D manager or a senior or a director of learning, and, there are many different levels you can go to. You can go to another company. I mean, there are some companies where there's a huge hierarchy into L&D, so you really can step up to different positions. Is it, I don't know, should they perhaps hone their communication skills or their presentation skills or their...
Now that I think about it, yeah. I think because L&D, the current role I carry, a lot of people don't realize, and as you said this before, it's not just a role where I'm teaching people how to flip pancakes and, hi, my name is Tony, I'll be taking care of you at the table. It goes so much deeper than that. There's so many layers to this role and so many hidden talents and gifts that come with being at L&D, and you can take those talents and turning into something else. Just like you said a moment ago, the communication piece, the public speaking part of it, the facility.
Would you advise actually to get into that?
Yes, the facilitating workshops. I've done, oh my God, tons of workshops, and that's something that can spill over to something that you do, outside of a company on your own.
100%. So overall, they just need to start to do something new,
absolutely.
something out of the ordinary habits.
Yeah, you just have to take all of that skill set that makes you a great L&D person, and you can apply it to other things that are available to you, or just branch out on your own and start your own consultant agency. I've been told that I should do that, in the future if I ever wanted to branch out on my own. So there's a lot of
opportunities are coming. You just have to be open to them, right? And be ready for them.
Inshallah.
Okay, rapid fire.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. They are either or. First thought about them. You have to pick one of them.
Can I do like a 50-50 or maybe, or it has to be one?
It has to be one.
Oh, gosh.
Let's do one. Paper or digital?
I'm old school, but we're in a digital world. Digital.
Appreciate that. Photos or videos?
Videos.
Classroom training or on the floor coaching?
On the floor coaching.
Self-paced or group sessions?
Self-paced.
Mobile first or desktop first?
Mobile.
1 big course or 10 small lessons?
10 small lessons.
Pre-shift briefings or post-shift feedback?
Pre-shift.
Speed or accuracy?
Accuracy.
SOP or gut instinct?
SOP.
Soft skills or hard skills?
Soft skills.
Talent or attitude?
Attitude.
Leading by example or leading by delegation?
Leading by example.
Growth from within or fresh external talent?
Growth from within.
Head office or outlet visits?
Repeat that.
Head office or outlet visits? Where would you prefer your time?
Oh, outlet visits, of course.
Fix what's broken or double down on what works?
Fix what's broken.
One training that changes everything or small wins every week?
Small wins every week. Global
brands with limits or local brands with freedom?
Ooh.
That's a hard one.
It's a hard one. I'll go with global.
You're going
with
global.
limits.
You're a global
I'm
girl.
going global.
You are a global girl. All right, now the last one. This is serious stuff. U.S. pancakes or UAE Marrakesh?
I'm going to say, you're going to kill me. I love Marrakesh, and I never knew anything about Marrakesh until I came to the UAE.
This is the only question I was sure about. You're going to go for it.
I'm just explaining. Marrakesh, I never heard of it before, and I really love it, but I have to go with the U.S. pancake.
I would be very disappointed if you didn't go with it. I wanted to give you something easy for the end, but it turned out to be a challenge.
Yeah, because I love Marrakesh now, but I swear I never knew anything about it until I came to the UAE. But of course, U.S. pancake, come on.
Basic.
Yes.
Darling, thank you very much.
So much. It's a pleasure. Oh, this is amazing. I appreciate you so much.